how's it going? This is Tex. This is Tex Talks. Today, I was asked to give a specific exercise or technique that you could use in order to help you deal with things that are bothering you, hurting you, upsetting you, tangible thing. A lot of times I speak more about the philosophy and understanding of things. Occasionally I talk about techniques. Someone specifically wanted me to go into something and give them something that they could use, even beyond the basics of how to do a breathing exercise, where you actually go through and explain the breathing technique, the box breathing, the RSA breathing or yoga breathing. I'm going to go over what's specifically more a cognitive skill, a thinking skill, less to do with behavioral and interventions and less to do with coming at it from that angle, but more to come from it from a place of contemplation. Now, you may still have to use calming techniques to get you to a place where you can do this exercise. Some people find it better to sit down with a pad of paper and do it. It actually allows them to put down what they're doing and write it down as they're going. I think that's very helpful. A lot of times we say we're going to do these cognitive skills and exercise sets, and then we sort of basically half-ass do them in our mind. We don't really go through them full. We don't necessarily get the effect we want, and then we go back and say it didn't work, but we didn't actually put the effort in to really do the exercise. So I think it probably would be good for you, at least for the first few times you do this, to actually do it. Take your time writing as you do it. So what I would like you to do is take a moment, take that breath, calm down, and bring to your mind something that you feel is upsetting, something maybe that made you angry. You were at work and this thing happened and you got angry. And where I said I'm going to go into more of an actual exercise you can use than just the philosophy. Many times when you have things, people will say, well, that made me angry. There's a whole philosophical discussion I have with how can it make you angry? How did you not choose to be angry? And sometimes that's hard for people to get past the philosophical concepts. So I'm going to actually take you into something a little bit more concrete. Do the exercise by picking out that thing that happened and you being angry. Usually one of the things that's easy for people to pull, because it happens a lot to them if you're a driver, is having a traffic incident where somebody in traffic did something that upset them. And then when I pull that out and go, okay, what do you mean? And describe. And then what they describe, most people to me, is an incident where they were doing something, they observed something, saw something happened, and then after that comes the anger. And you notice I left a whole lot out. The whole lot out is what I want to address. If you've done any of the CBT stuff and some of the DBT stuff, you kind of understand the idea of these chain analysis, or breaking things down and going, okay, what happened? When did the anger arise? And sometimes it's when someone cuts you off in traffic, somebody slams their brakes on in front of you, someone actually cusses you. Incidents like that happen. And when they do, then a lot of times people will feel the anger arise. And notice how I said it like that. I'm trying to get away from the specifics of whether or not the incident made you angry. I'm even going to jump for a minute away from whether or not you chose to be angry. And let's just go with the anger arising. When the anger arises, or when you feel that feeling, that emotion, that times people will say it's even a physical feeling. When that happens, I want you to stop for a second now and actually sit down and write down anger, if that's the one we're dealing with. What specifically do you connect your anger to? Now think about that for a minute. And if you say, oh, well, someone brake checked me, they got in front of me and slammed on the brakes. What was your anger coming up about in this incident? I want you to think for a second. Before you actually go any further, if you have to pause this, sit down and write what that anger is about. Because if you tell me you're angry because somebody brake checked you, if you really think about it, There's got to be more to it than that. When people brake check you, does that always cause anger? I won't even say yes, but you can see how if you're not really paying much attention to the car in front of you and you're a little bit back and they try to brake check you, you keep talking to your friends and you may not even notice they brake checked you. Or they may brake check you and you think, geez, what a pain. But you don't go and get angry. So what is it about this that's getting you angry? This is where you really need to probe yourself and go, what's going on? What does it mean to you when people brake check other people? What is that? You can say that when someone yells at someone or screams at someone, you think that means this or that. When someone cusses someone, when someone screams and walks out the room, and what if someone ignores you? Let's pull into that and go, what does this mean? Someone brake checks you and you're convinced that that means, without a doubt, they are disrespecting you. Now, here's where it gets really tough. Can you tell me when in your life you've had someone either do that specific thing, or why are you angry that you get disrespected? This is a deeper question than you realize. A lot of people want to holler just, oh, well, naturally, people disrespect you, you get angry. No, doesn't happen all the time. It can. And you can get angry when people don't disrespect you, but you think they disrespect you, but maybe they really didn't. So then we're getting into this whole thing of asking yourself these questions. Pause for a second, pause the video if you have to, and write down what you feel it means to be disrespected. What does it mean about the person who gets disrespected? What are they? And why is that something that you would be upset about? And you start finding that there's a whole lot of other things going on in that background. Maybe you feel that being disrespected means you are less of a person. Maybe it means that you feel other people are going to look at you, judge you, laugh at you, make fun of you. Other people will join in and they'll be mean to you. What is it that's going on? Keep digging, digging, digging down. Find maybe those early experiences. Maybe as a kid, somebody did something to you and you felt disrespected. Maybe your parents did things and you felt disrespected. Maybe it was kids at the school playground, friends, family. Maybe you come from a place where people pounded in your head that you have to make everyone respect you all the time or else. And if you don't, these bad things will happen. So in your mind, you've locked it in. This is do or die. You have to make these things happen. And of course, panic and fear sets in when they don't, because you don't want the bad thing to happen. When you've dug all the way down, you should be at some point able to scrape down and find what that base belief is, that core value is connecting all this idea from the past that you have seen. And when that occurs, I encourage you to stop for a minute and ask yourself, is that thing that you believe at the bottom of all this really true? And is it really worth believing in? Because maybe you dig down there and you can recall incidents in which you felt people disrespected you and then you felt shame. Again, though, connect to it and go, what's really going on here? What's really happening? When you can do that, then you can also then pull yourself back into the present and go, okay, so is it the same thing? When this guy brake checks me, is that even the same thing as when I was upset, frustrated, humiliated, whatever happened way back then? Is this really the same? And am I feeling this incident, or am I pulling up the memories of the emotions and feelings from that incident and I'm reliving those feelings? Reliving those emotions. And is that really what's happening? And another line of question to go into is when a lot of people will say they really physically feel pain or things. Ask yourself, is this incident really manifesting that pain? Or again, follow the trail. Is this incident kicking off this memory of the pain? Because I felt pain in this memory. And now every time somebody plucks that guitar string, is it going all the way back here, vibrating and making this pain, this old pain, come back up? And it works very well for other things too. Like something happens and you want to say that made me nervous, or that scared me, or that made me anxious. You pull back. It's a cognitive thing where you go back and question, where did it come from? What is this about? What is going on? And break it down. These are the kinds of things that you actually will do in certain therapy. If you do EMDR, if you do certain forms of narrative therapy where you write about incidents, this cognitive exercise is about being able to process what happened, what I claim is happening in me as a reaction, and what it's connected to in the past. And it has to connect in the past because for a totally new experience that has no connection to anything else in the past to occur, and then we have all these feelings and emotions, it has to be connected to some past thing. Otherwise, when it happens, you're neutral. You don't have anything to think about or connect. You don't want to blame. You don't want to look for reasons. You actually are able to sit there and go, I don't know what this means. I need to find out. I can guarantee you, though, most things you feel is because your mind goes through a quick check. And maybe sometimes even your feelings or emotions go through quick checks and go, oh, I felt this, I observed this. That feeling, that observation connects to this thing way back in my past. I'm going to pull that up and use that as how I deal with this now. That's why we find ourselves dealing with things in a way that we dealt with them or the way we rehearse them. And now it becomes more automatic, an automatic response. And you're still not taking the time. You're taking that quick road of just letting the automatic mind take over and do instead of actually questioning, going, is that true? Does that really mean that? Did this really happen that way? So again, to wrap that exercise up, take thing that's happening now and the feeling, take a breath, relax for a second, put it on paper, and then go digging back into your brain. Go backwards in time and ask what's it connected to. If you're feeling really sad and then okay, what about this event is sad and where did I experience that in my past and is that real and is it resolved and do I need to work on it? A lot of times people will say, well, what do I need to bring to therapy? I'm telling you right now, this is where you dig, and sometimes it helps if you can bring it in. You know, you can actually sit down with your therapist and go, "This thing happened, and I know when I'm thinking about it, I'm guessing that this was a trigger for this, and this is upsetting, and I want to work through that." And then having that other person to ask questions, bounce your story off of, get feedback, allows you to process and work that so that you can put in your toolbox. Your memories can be useful. Your old emotions and feelings can be useful. You can only use them though if you can understand them, find them, and use them for the right job. It's like having your own toolbox in your head. If you organize the tools and they're all in the right place, and you make sure you understand what each tool is used for, then when you need them, you go back, you know where they're at, you've got them, you use them for the purpose they're used, you put them back on the shelf and you move on. Job done. Instead of letting things just float and float and float, and never get resolved, never get processed, never get settled, and you go around just letting your emotions lead you around instead of you working to pick and choose the emotions that you wish to express and experience. I do encourage you, please, please sit down, take the time to write some of this out. You may be able to get to a point where you do it all in your head. You might even be able to do it all in your head right off from the bat. Like all things, though, I would like you to learn the details. And then you can start to learn, adapt, and change the technique to how it works for you. If you want, give me some feedback and see how this works for you. Okay. Hope you have an awesome day, and I'll talk to you later.